Hi everyone, and welcome to Module 2. In Module 2, you're going to be reading chapters 3 through 5. If you click on this right here, that'll give you your chapters. I have a couple videos that you'll find very interesting on the role of the public sector, healthcare reform, taxation, and government spending. This is a big challenge that we're facing right now in our economy because taxation and healthcare are big sectors that people are facing a lot of challenges. And I think you'll see the importance of the healthcare sector and how it challenges the economy. When you look at small firms, healthcare costs are very difficult to manage. And when there's an increase in those costs, that creates a lot of challenges. For this week, let's see a little bit more participation in the Session 2 devotion. Here is the Session 2, the discussion board. I'm going to click on it and go over the requirements. In this week, we're going to be looking at the government is too intrusive into the private activities of citizens. Comment on the activities that the government has influenced over the economy, including those activities you agree with or disagree with. In your work, make sure to have an APA formatted in-text citation and reference, at least one, to support your analysis. Make sure to have 3 paragraphs as well, because that'll allow you to have more development in your work to fully address all aspects of the question. When I was grading the work, I saw a lot of people struggle with that regard. They didn't have enough content development, and also they didn't really have any support for their work. So make sure to really focus on those 2 areas. Now, you have an Article 1 summary. Let's go to that. That's worth 100 points. For the summary, you're going to locate an article dealing with unemployment or inflation. And what you're going to do is you're going to focus on a 1-page summary of the major points of this article. Indicate whether you agree or disagree with the conclusions and the concepts that were developed. Some of the recommended resources are right here. Other recommended resources that you could utilize would be your actual local newspaper, the USA Today. So let me give you an example. If I go right now to the USA Today page, and I click right now on the money section, you'll notice that there's some stuff that we could look at. Worst paying jobs right here for women. Okay. I also could do this. Go to Google, put in unemployment rate, and let's do a state, Florida in 2014 in trends. So here's some things about the Florida right here. Florida's unemployment rate falls to 6.2%, but hurdles still remain. There's an article, Florida's unemployment rate, lowest in 6 years. Or you could change it to whatever that you would like to do in terms of inflation or unemployment. But I think that would make it the easiest for you. Now, what am I grading with on your paper? So let's look at the analysis. Appropriate article chosen. So did you choose an article that was unemployment or inflation related? What is the content of your development? So did you have appropriate content development and relate your concepts? And what about your mechanics? How was your mechanics? Did you use APA formatting in your work? Did you work on your appropriate spelling, grammar? So those are key things that you want to look at. If you need me to pre-grade your work before you submit it, let me know, as I'm more than willing to assist. Now let's go to the assignment right here. Now, on the assignment, with respect to the demand for the college enrollment, which of the following will cause a movement along the demand curve or a shift in the demand curve? Now, the trick to this is anything dealing with the price of college will be a movement along the demand curve. Anything dealing with the price of college, the actual price of the good, is a movement along the curve. anything dealing with a shift of the curve, factors that would cause an increase or decrease in demand will cause the demand curve to move. Question 2, what would happen to shrimp prices and consumption if the government prohibited price increases? So now, if the government states no price increases can occur, you'll notice that there might be some issues with supply because firms are not liking that they're not able to raise prices. So the consumption could increase because before, if there was a supply shortage, you would know a supply shortage would cause higher prices in shrimp. But now, given that the government states that they're not allowing higher prices, you'll notice that consumption would increase and the price of shrimp would not increase as bad. Question 3. The shortage in the organ market requires non-market rationing system. Who should get the organs? Now, this is a very challenging thing. So if people need kidneys, livers, anything like that, and there's no price mechanism system, and it's very challenging for the following reason, because there's no market to advertise for this. So that means the people that have the most money would be the one that would get the organs. Is that fair? And that's a very difficult question, but you want to focus your analysis on that regard. Now, here is supply, here's the demand, here's the supply. We want to look at what is the equilibrium price. So what you want to do is you want to find the market totals. You want to add these all up right here to give you the market demand. Okay? Find where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. So where this number equals this is what you're looking for. Now, if I tell you at a price of $2, you need to tell me if there's a shortage or surplus. A shortage is where there's more supply than demand, and a shortage is where demand is greater than supply, and a surplus is where supply is greater than demand. So all depending on this amount, you'll tell me if a shortage or surplus exists right here and how much it is. Question 5. As a result of the BP oil spill, which of the following changes in the shrimp market? So now, the demand for shrimp. Whenever consumers are not able to buy goods, you'll notice that the demand for shrimp will change according to that. Quantity demanded and price. So this is dealing with the price of the product. So what happened in the market? Was there a change in supply, which there was. There was a decrease in supply. That will cause the price to do something and the quantity demanded to change. But you need to draw a graph for that one. Question 6, you want to look at the figure 3.8 and you want to actually focus on what is being supplied at 0. So you want to look at this and look at the graph. Question 7, should taxpayers subsidize public colleges and universities? This is dealing with an externality. So if the government subsidizes production, you'll notice that people will be able to supply more. And that's a good thing for an economy. You want more public education in an economy. That's a positive thing. So you want to focus on many of those aspects and the positive effects of education. And should the government provide those benefits? Question 8, public goods. So now, if you look at the government has to supply these public goods. The reason why the government supplies public goods is that people do not want to supply them because you can't get people to pay for what they consumed. So now, the government supplies them because no one will pay for the actual amount they consume. That's the challenging aspect. And you want to focus on that in your answer. You want to focus on the characteristics of public goods, as they're two important characteristics. And the characteristics are non-rival, means we do not compete to consume the good, and also non-excludable. Question 9. If smoking generates external costs, should smoking be outlawed? So how do we look at pollution when we look at smoking? When you look at smoking, that creates a negative externality. And the way the government can regulate this is to reduce consumption through the role of taxes. So that's what you'd want to focus on. Question 10. Government spends about $700 billion a year on Social Security benefits. Why don't we leave it to individuals to save for their own retirement? If we allowed individuals to save for their own retirement, that would cause a lot of challenges in our economy. So we don't use that. The government supports the Social Security because they want to provide support. But the problem is the system is broken at this point. Question 11 is a multiple choice question. Which taxes hit the poorest the hardest? Local, state, or federal? Question 9 is just dealing with a 10% sales tax and looking at the table. Question 13 is looking at the market demand, and if you're looking at if the tuition set at $3,000, how much will be demanded? So you're just looking right at this graph to make this assumption. Question 14 is looking at demand again and looking at price levels and what occurs at these prices. Question 15, you're looking at GDP. So now, there's two types of GDP. There's real GDP and nominal GDP. Real GDP is focused on just output changes, while nominal GDP is focused on two different things, price and output changes. So if GDP grew, which is stating here, however, we didn't produce as much, that means the economy had inflation, and that's what you want to focus on in your answer. What jobs are likely part of the underground economy? So these are jobs that are not regulated and people that don't earn a paycheck. They get paid under the table. Question 17. Clear-cutting a forest adds to GDP the value of the timber, but it also destroys the forest. How should you value that loss? You want to value that loss based on the value added of that activity for our economy, the service that was added. Question 18, the value added to produce a good, furniture. You want to figure out the value added and figure out the stages. So start at the beginning stage and go through the end stage. Question 19, look at question 5 on page 111. What share of the U.S. total income in 2010? So you want to look at this and look at the drop-down menu from that data. And this is what you should be focusing on for Module 2. If you have any questions, please let me know. But I look forward to your effort this week, and please have your work in by Saturday.